with our regular lineup. They're all back. We have, of course, Jay,
Hey.
and the two guys who are back from their tour in the cold place,
Yes.
Lake Placid, New York.
Yeah.
We have John and Howie, who are both up there being soldiers for like 12, 14 days or something stupid like that.
Right.
Yeah. Woot.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back. I hope you can feel your toes soon.
Yeah.
And before we go any further tonight, this show is brought to you by DJ Event Planner, www.djeventplanner.com. There are other sponsors as well. Please go into the description of this video and have a look at who they are, because they're here bringing you us tonight, especially Jay. Jay's a high dollar commodity. It's a lot of money to get him to come on the show.
Most of the show's budget goes to me.
Most of it does. So
You think custom tire like this is cheap? No.
Right. Yeah, you got to pay big money for that.
Big money.
So our tradition has been for the last, 4 or 5 months now, I think, right?
Yeah.
Been going for a while.
Maybe, I don't know. A while. It's been something that we like to call music. Boston John's record roundup.
I don't hear anything.
It's okay. I heard it for a second. Boston John, what do you have for it?
Seconds. You don't want to get a copyright strike for the intro.
Yeah, that was copyright free music.
Duty free. That's how we get around the rules here.
Yeah.
Well, being back home finally, been away for a while, and to stay topical on current events and news, I pulled one up today that was a group that I wasn't all that fond of growing up, but I developed an appreciation over the years. Older record, but a group called Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and the album is called So Far.
Aha.
Yeah.
This is 1974. They called it a compilation and not a greatest hits. They're a super group, and we, of course, recently with the passing of David Crosby,
They weren't a super group at the time, though, were they?
well, David Crosby left the Byrds,
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Tambourine Man, all that.
Right.
Mhm.
67. I got Stephen Stills, and of course Neil Young on and off. We're in Buffalo.
Stephen
Springfield.
Stills was also in Buffalo Springfield.
Right.
There's another big group.
And Graham Nash was in the Hollies up until
Another big group.
So that's like the equivalent of, and I thought it was hippie music for the longest time, but it's just got such a vibe. And to get 4 guitar players so talented on stage, not getting in each other's lanes and being able to all have their own thing, all playing 6 strings, and you can hear everybody crystal clear. The production was great. Sure, songwriting, the singing harmonies. I don't know if we mentioned them on the harmony show, but they definitely have a
Howie
song.
might have. That might have been Howie's.
Yeah, but just for this one here, for example, you get Teach Your Children Well. Ohio's on here, Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, which is, what do you got to lose, right? Major, super. That charted that one. Woodstock from Joni Mitchell is on here. I thought if you're going to do a little bit of a look back, say what's all this hype about David Crosby?
Yeah.
And they made records up until about 99, and then they did one short tour, like 18 or 19. But definitely worth giving them a listen. As I say, I was more into the harder edge stuff, but I kind of developed an appreciation of it. And I think I owe it more so to, how Neil Young played and how he sounded when I heard him doing Rockin' in the Free World. And
Sure.
I was like, okay, so if he's cool, then the other 3 got to be cool. Let me listen to them
Right.
collectively. So that's my pick of the week.
Do you have a favorite song on that album?
Probably Sweet Judy Blue Eyes.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
It's kind of
Howie,
like
your favorite?
you broke up with the so-and-so and you still kind of keep in touch. Wink, wink. Yeah. Hey, what's up?
I'm on board with the sweet Blue
Blue
Eyes.
Eyes.
Yeah.
Jay, got favorite?
Very pretty.
Yeah, that's a great one. I mean, I think Ohio is still my favorite from that era. And I don't want to take it to show in this, but if you do your research, you'll find out that David Crosby sang backup for an insane amount of music over the years. The song Mexico by James Taylor.
Yeah.
David Crosby background. Doctor My Eyes by Jackson Brown. David Crosby background.
That I didn't know. Wow.
Yeah, no, I didn't either. Now that he's
That was like his first jam, too.
Yeah.
They were all Laurel Canyon people, I guess.
I was just going to say, yeah, that's the big tie-in.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was that time when people would, hey, come down to the studio and sing on this. Versus now with agents and auto tune and no talent, it's different. Yeah, I said it.
My favorite track on that album, hands down, no discussion, is Woodstock. And it's amazing what they did with that track. If you've heard Joni Mitchell's version, a lot of people haven't.
No, they haven't.
This version is so popular.
Yeah.
It's a different song. I mean, they really made it their own. Fantastic. Just love it. Just love it. Howie, what do you got for us this week?
Well, I just watched your show that you recorded, and you were going to go with Discovery. You said, "Oh, but next week I'm going to pick Discovery from Daft Punk," and that was my pick for tonight. But I guess I got to change. But I needed a palate cleansing after hearing 3 jam bands up there. It was just, like Grateful Dead type stuff and Fish. And so, I guess what I'll go for is something that is very, unknown for the most part. I know Brian has this, but it's called the Fairy Garden.
Oh yeah, that's good.
David Arkenstone. And it's a great cocktail hour because it's flutes and violins. It's very Celtic. No vocals, perfect for a cocktail, in my opinion.
What I love about that too, Howie, and you turned me on to it, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's so up-tempo.
It really is.
So, I mean, there's background music, there's kind of like sleepy music. This is not sleepy music, and I like that about it.
Yeah.
It could go classical, it could go kind of Ren Fair, it could go a lot of different directions. It's happy background music.
It really is. Yeah.
That's an excellent pick this week. Check that out. Fairy Garden. Tell me who the artist is again, because I don't remember.
David Arkenstone.
Do check that out, guys. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, and it came out in 2016. So it's relatively new.
You can use that for like wedding
right
stuff, like the prelude stuff, when people are being seated. It's beautiful for that. It's
really
fun. Jay, what do you have?
I'm actually looking at the catalog from David Arkenstone, trying to keep up with you guys on this. I got to check him out. I have one that none of you guys have, and including you, Brian. I'm more than confident you've never heard of this group.
Is it the reggae artist from San Diego?
No.
Oh.
No. I was watching a documentary, as I like to do. And as we all know, documentaries have no great budget. So when it comes to the music, they tend to use unknown, unsigned, obscure music. And it was a John Waters narrated documentary about the Salton Sea, where I've been and shot a couple of really big videos on YouTube. And I loved the instrumental music. It was my Twitch said, it sounded like what you would hear in South Texas, driving a pickup truck, drinking a whiskey, dust. It just had all these different things to it. And the group is called the Friends of Dean Martinez. And the album that I gravitated towards is called On the Shore. And they do a lot of covers. They cover Summertime. They cover Misty, Tennessee Walls. The one that got me that I think is my favorite new cover is Wichita Lineman. These are all instrumental. They're very slide guitar, pedal steel heavy with that, twangy Anthony Bourdain type music from his like travel shows. Like if I dropped you in the middle of New Mexico at midnight and put this on and you didn't know where you were, you'd guess you were in the middle of New Mexico at midnight.
If anybody's watching tonight, by the way, you're getting gold tonight. This is really good music for like background and cocktail. It's going to make you different than the guy who puts on the Frank Sinatra CD.
And if you do nothing else, just go to YouTube, look up Friends of Dean Martinez, Wichita Lineman, the Jimmy Webb, Glenn Campbell song. And it is just, I think, breathtaking,
Nice.
And my 2-hour set the other night, I kind of stuck with that vibe. And
Nice.
John, you were there for part of it.
Mhm.
Aaron came through. I thought, I could be alone in this, but I think it's worth checking out. Just go to YouTube and check it out first. You like it, pick up their album.
Name the artist again.
Friends of Dean Martinez.
Friends of Dean Martinez.
Which should tell you right out of the gate, this is not going to be top 40 pop,
Right.
polished auto-tune crap.
But cool stuff.
Yeah, with a name like that,
Mhm.
you know it's got to be interesting.
Say what you will about John Waters. He's been a pretty interesting guy culturally, but
Oh, yeah.
and later in life, he's had some pretty interesting, cool tastes in all things art and music. And so, yeah, if he's picked this stuff for his soundtrack on something he's directed, it's got to be cool.
Well, he's one of those guys, Brian, like Prince, like John Cougar, like Aerosmith, and it's the people that don't leave home. Like John Waters
Yeah.
is famously from
He's
Baltimore, Maryland.
Yep.
He is Baltimore to the core.
Yeah, he is.
And he shoots in Baltimore, and he uses Baltimore, and he lives in Baltimore. And I kind of respect artists that don't feel the need to leave where they're inspired to go to LA, New York, so they can be in La La Land.
What I always thought of John Waters as is almost a punk director, because his early films are just shock,
Yes.
Yeah.
like Pink Flamingos. We won't even get into that, but in Multiple Maniacs and
Oh my gosh. I remember seeing one of those films and they gave you a scratch and sniff card.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
the midnight movie stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rocky Horror was Shakespeare compared to this
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So, but he's grown as an artist in
Mhm.
cool ways. He's an older gentleman. He's a very dapper looking gentleman. I think whenever I see him,
Got the
dressed
puffle and mustache.
yeah, he always has a suit on, and
Yeah.
he's just a neat guy. But if you went from the kind of the punk thing, he's still counterculture, absolutely. But he's got some taste that I think a lot of people here might appreciate now. Maybe not in 1972, but now he does.
I thought of him as almost an extension of the Warhol group in that he took his,
maybe.
he wasn't an artist, but he had the visual aspect of
Mhm.
that sort of, what Warhol was doing. And he took that to another level through film and
Yes.
didn't understand he couldn't do things. I mean,
He really did them. Yeah.
yeah, and then he got Tab Hunter to be in stuff, which made no sense because Tab Hunter was the legitimate, celeb at one point. And remember, for those that don't know Divine or any of the stuff we're referencing, he did Cry Baby too with Johnny Depp. That's
Yep.
his.
And Hairspray is his, which has been remade by
Hairspray,
Travolta.
And I think it's been on Broadway.
It has been on Broadway. It's
Yeah.
play.
So he's done stuff you've heard, but
Yes,
you may not know it was him.
right.
What do you got for us, Brian?
I got one that I don't think anyone here has, much like the two of you threw at me. And we've talked I've talked. It's me who says all this stuff. I don't know if anybody else is saying it here, but I noticed that all the fun dance music that was in the mainstream kind of went away in about 1992 when Nirvana hit. Everything went grunge.
Mhm.
Well, I was a DJ in nightclubs and mobiles at the time. Mostly at the time, actually, I was more club DJ. And what are you going to play? That's new. All of a sudden, all this stuff started coming out from this producer in Chicago called Cashmere. He had his own label called Casual Records. You might know Percolator. That's Cashmere. It was the new Chicago house sound. House had evolved from this gospel piano driven stuff to this other stuff. And there's a sampler out there that I wanted to turn you on to that I got and I had a lot of fun with. And it's Casual Records, the new Chicago house sound. This is a really cool thing to have in your collection. There's 12 tracks on it. Just 12 here. But
That looks good.
so many of these songs are so good. Brighter Days.
That I know, Out There Are Brothers I Know.
Yeah, this is early Out There Brothers, though. But there's this. Feel Free is a wonderful track. I think you really dig it. It's almost got that Daft Punk vibe to it. kind of bouncy, but early and real gritty. Because this early stuff was very DIY. It was punk. I mean, people were doing this stuff with things that they went out and bought. They didn't really know how to use them. That was kind of what house music was. It would be like the equivalent today, I guess, of somebody just downloading Pro Tools and figuring something out and making a hit. It was that. I mean, look at all the fax. There's a fax number on here. I mean, my God, come on. The building a friend of mine lives in, it's one big place now, like, but it used to be apartments, and Kashmir used to live upstairs in this building my friend lives in. But yeah, no, this is neat. So if you happen to see this somewhere, Casual Records, the new Chicago house sound, do pick it up. It's got some real neat stuff on it. It's even got, interesting liner notes in here. So have a look.
What would you describe it as? It's house music as we know it, or is it jungle, or is it more techie, or
they called it the new Chicago house sound. Like Kashmir was almost, because he produced all this stuff.
But like, what is there an artist that you could compare it to that I would know?
Kashmir, Percolator, don't you?
Yeah, I know Percolator, but like,
it all kind of sounds like that.
If somebody didn't know Percolator, this is a little more.
That was the only thing that came to my mind was Percolator.
It's unique, and that's what was so cool about it. It was different,
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it eventually evolved into like what we were hearing on Homework.
Oh, okay.
Kind of stuff.
Okay.
Out there, boom, boom, boom. Let me say, wayo, wayo. That was them later on, but they started out on Casual, and they were doing stuff with them. Yeah. So the stuff evolved into other things, much like the punk thing we were talking about. This was the early days of this new Chicago house sound, which was different because, I mean, Love Can't Turn Around didn't sound anything like Percolator. This was very different stuff. Kind of house meets trance. I don't know, goofy. Fun though. But this was the stuff
very cool
that was more underground, but you could play. And to this day, there are certain audiences who I'm playing for, and out of nowhere, someone will ask for Percolator, and I'll play it, and it'll go off crazy. And here's the fun part. It's usually a black audience. Like, they like that tune. There's a certain age group who love that track. So, I don't know, just to pick. Something different.
Nice.
Very nice.
It was all different tonight. I was talking to Jay off camera last night, and I was telling him about that Safe House staff party I did on Sunday, kind of last minute. What was cool was I was able to finally get some feedback from New Year's because I hadn't gotten anything. I mean, it was radio silence. I'd heard nothing from anybody. Then they brought me in for this holiday party, or the staff party. And I was able, and it was all staff from the place. So I was able to talk to people and get kind of their thoughts or impressions on how New Year's was. And most of them, I didn't have to prime them. They just told me, I told them who I was. Oh yeah. And they would tell me how they felt about it. Something that was interesting that somebody told me, the main bartender that was there that night, it was Jake. And he told me it was interesting because most of the DJs that come in there aren't playing to the audience, but you were, and I'd never seen that here. Really?
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I mean, we talk about, read the crowd and read the room and things like that, which is what we're doing as seasoned pros at this. There are a lot of people out there who aren't doing this. And I thought maybe we could even talk about the benefits of doing this, opposed to being more self-indulgent or trying to be such a tastemaker that you're trying to throw something in somebody's face. Jay made the analogy last night where it's like, hey, we really want to hear, dance music. Nope, going to hear hip hop tonight. That's the kind of DJ I am. Or nope, you're going to hear trance because that's what I play.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't respect anybody as an artist. If you are a hip hop DJ or a trance DJ or whatever kind of DJ you are, I get it, but when you're playing in front of an audience, maybe you should play something they dig. I don't know.
I think it's a skill set. I told you that story where I played a club in San Diego and made a lot of money for a corporate client, and the on-site entertainment was like, yeah, this is 8 hours long and none of my DJs can do that.
Right.
And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, they only work 2-hour sets. Like, I've got one guy that does trip hop for 2 hours and another guy that does kind of psychedelic hip hop. And like, everyone was pigeonholed into what they did. Right. But I came in as the mobile guy representing, oh, I'm bringing all this music with me so I can do this. It's not going to be a problem. And I agree with you. I think if your talent lies in you're a house DJ and that's what you play, then you know what you're good at and you do it. But we're the real, we're the general practitioners of the medical world.
Pretty much, yeah.
One day you're delivering a baby, one day you're setting somebody's broken arm.
Right.
And I kind of enjoy that. If I was
nothing wrong with being a specialist. No. And I'm not suggesting it's a bad thing if you're
not at all
DJ.
Right.
I'm just suggesting. Yeah.
That's a dedication to say, I'm spending my time, effort, money, and experiences in becoming the best at this one thing I do. I think it's admirable that somebody can be that dedicated to one thing. Our dedication tends to run into watching a documentary and going, oh, this song's great. I know where I could use this.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of our mentality is, I can't wait to get to the next gig and use this for cocktail, dinner, or background. When it comes to dancing music, day one, I was told by the DJs that trained me, you play what people know or you'll fail. If you think you know more than the audience, you're wrong. Because if you think this song's going to kill, it might clear the floor and you might fight to get them back. But if they love Staying Alive, play Staying Alive.
Yeah.
Like, don't get lost in the, I remember playing, what was it? The David Guetta Work Hard, the redo of Alice DJ, Better Off Alone with Akon. The week it came out. Well, it also came out the same week that Daft Punk and Niles Rodgers came out with
Get Lucky.
Get Lucky. And I played both of them at a wedding because the bride and groom wanted them, and they did really well. That's one of 3 times in my career where I've played brand new music.
Yeah.
Other times I've been like, oh, this song's great. I'm going to play it this week. And you watch the floor just go, because people that dance to what they're not comfortable with.
Sure. There are certain audiences that need to be, they want to hear what they know. They don't necessarily want to be challenged. I have personally found that when I'm playing for a group like that, I don't always need to stay in that lane all night, but I need to establish that I'm their friend and I'm here for them and I'm playing what they want to hear. After they trust me, I can take a liberty or two.
Sure. Yeah, that's it. Well, if people are paying at the door expecting to see you play 2 hours of deep house, then give them deep house because what they expected to come see.
Yes.
You're walking into an establishment that's an open format. You got to look what's in front of you and you got to play to keep them there and not drive them away.
But you don't the point I was trying to get at.
In mind, you don't say, oh, I'm going to throw this killer set down tonight. You don't even know who's in front of you yet.
Right.
You can't write the prescription before you know what the ailment is. You got to,
I mean, and that's the perfect analogy. And I've said to clients about, we're showing up in a cold room where there's 0 expectations. Nobody's come there. If I go to a club when the DJ's playing disco, how was it? It was great. He played disco. He had good mixes. It was fun. It was what I paid for. But you go to a wedding and you have a crowd that I dare say 75% of guests at a wedding, dancing might be on the agenda, but it's not a priority.
No.
Every wedding I've ever done, there's a point in time where I put the words open dance floor. So I have an expectation they're going to dance. The bride and groom have an expectation they're going to dance. But the 150 people that aren't at the Starbucks during our meeting, nobody
have a different idea about things.
Yeah, nobody told them, hey guys. And I've had weddings where I've had people come up at the end of the night and go, do you have a card? Yeah, here you go. Man, this was great. Oh, yeah, awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, we didn't dance. We don't like to dance.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Dug the vibe.
You didn't play too loud. The mixes were good. We knew all the songs and we had a great time listening and watching other people have fun. Yeah. And that's kind of what you said, Brian, about, you can take a little liberties here and there. throw a random track at them if it's the right vibe. But the people watching your dance floor are just as important as the people on your dance floor.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
agree.
you got to remember that. The grandmother in the back that you think, oh, I'm going to wait till later and play swearing hip hop. That grandmother can write a bigger check than any of the 21-year-olds on your dance floor. And she may have 10 grandkids that are going to get married. And she may want you to be the DJ.
We were here real late last night talking about weird stuff. And something that I brought up, it was random chill night is what it was. And by the way, anybody watching this, you're always welcome to join us. It's open. Any of you can come in here and chill with us after the show. Howie show, my show, Mondays, Tuesdays, DJNTV.com/chill. Come on in and hang with us. We were talking about dreams. I brought it up and somebody said that they have the recurring nightmare that they're at a gig and they don't know what to play next. Who was that? Was that you, Jay, or was that Buddy?
Yeah, I said it's only happened once. It happened more when I was a bartender and I would be in the dream. I was at a bar with no liquor and no glasses and a packed bar.
Yeah.
And be like, I can't make a drink. And these people are freaking out. And I think I've had one where I was at a wedding and you look down and everything's blinking like the song's got 10 seconds.
Right.
Then talking to somebody and it's like, I have nothing loaded and I don't know what to play next at all. And you freeze.
That happens to me at gigs.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. When you're
I like when things flash. It gives you a 20-second warning.
When you're open format, you don't have this lane you're staying in. You're bouncing between all of these different types of vibes and sounds and stuff. And yeah, I was doing karaoke on Sunday night. Another show, or I just did a video on it. Watch it. I don't know, but I'm doing stuff. People are dancing. Then all of a sudden, I got 3 karaoke songs in a row. Now what? I don't know. Where are we going to go?
Kill the dance floor.
I got to start over again.
What were the 3 karaoke songs and what are you building off of, right? It's like,
oh, it was,
I know.
it was like a Hank Williams song. Amy Winehouse track.
Oh, great. That's going to bring the mood.
A Janis Joplin song. So where are you going to go?
Wow. And somebody that's living, maybe that would give a better mood.
Right?
Stop picking dead people.
They picked it. I didn't pick it.
Talk about bringing the mood down.
That was karaoke, dude. Not me playing the song.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone that's alive you want to sing?
No, only sing the dead ones.
And dude, Howie, what are your thoughts on this whole thing we're talking about here? What do you think about open format versus the DJ just kind of does one genre or one type of music?
What we had on Friday when we were up at Lake Placid, there was this lady DJ, Marty something, I can't remember her last name from
I saw the video or a snippet from that.
Yeah, and
what's her name?
Marty something from Denver.
I know.
She was awesome. And I never heard her before, and she played exclusively all her own stuff.
Nice.
And it was amazing. And the people they were jumping up and down.
Yeah, there was good crowds going on.
It was and I had to quick on the fly. Like, at first we had the aerials, to let people know, hey, because they're from 60 different countries, I said, follow the sky trackers. That's where the action, that's where the stage is. That's where you're going to get your medals. But then when they started dancing, I had to bring the lights down and, swirl on the crowd for her, but then also, backlight her. And it was just, it was good. I mean, and John's out there like somebody from South Park, so bundled up, filming all this stuff, running the camera. But it was fun, to I didn't know the music, so I had to busk the lighting, but I can count to 4, so I knew drop it on the 1. Yep.
Sure,
that helps.
Yeah.
But how about that versus the open format? What if the crowd had been there and what they really wanted to do was the Cupid Shuffle and jump around by House of Pain? She could do it, right?
I would imagine.
Sure.
I mean, it was mostly bands. They only had two DJs. The rest of the nights were bands. Unfortunately, three of them were jam bands, like we said, but there were some really good bands that did some. There was one cover band and a couple of original bands, and yeah, it was a challenge to follow. I mean, you had a laser focus, and count. Okay, it's a verse, chorus, verse, solo, a lot of solos,
Sure.
with the guitar players, but it was fun. We had a great time.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
go ahead, John.
I was gonna say if she's playing all original material, that kind of ties into what Brian was saying. So if the crowd in front of you is a bunch of kids that want Taylor Swift and One Direction, could she have flipped and played that, or was she going to just stay to her set and just do her own thing? Like, I came here with this set, that's what you get, type of deal.
Well, apparently they were vetted, by the committee, and they heard, Mixcloud or whatever she's at, where it's all her stuff. But the people, they were from, like I said, 60 different countries, and it was such an upbeat, danceable mix that they stayed. I mean, it was 6 degrees out, and they're out there dancing.
Well, see, there's the difference. I think that we're kind of talking about here. We have the performance DJs who do their thing, and in this case, it was her original material.
Mm-hmm.
We have the DJs who do deep house. That's what I play. You've got the hip hop DJs. You've got, the EDM DJs. Okay, those people exist. People go to a show to see that, and that's cool. Like John was saying, if you're going to promise a deep house night, when I get there, I better hear deep house. I better not be hearing some Shania Twain, because that's not why I came here.
Right.
That's cool.
They could have used a deep house set instead of a third jam band.
Well, what I was suggesting is, when you walk into a place and you've got that open format person who just kind of plays to the crowd in front of them, that's a very different vibe. They're not there to see me. They are there to hear something they enjoy. It has nothing to do with me or what I'm doing or what I've decided is cool. It has everything to do with what's going to motivate the crowd in front of me. So that's just the difference.
But what about when the DJ does what they think they're supposed to do? Because it's what they've always done. And this just came to me. We didn't talk about this last night. And you were at the show I'm about to reference. I did a show at NAMM.
Yeah.
At the Hilton.
Yeah.
And there was 4 DJs. And the first 2 DJs played YMCA, disco, and they had a few people by them. I've been going to NAMM so many years, and I knew the crowd on a Saturday at the Hilton. I played Ozzy, Saliva, Slayer, Pantera, that.
You played to your audience
very differently. And
I mean, you were in the audience. It was packed.
I was the only person in the audience who wasn't in one of the bands you were playing a song from.
Yeah, because Brian's standing there filming, and the drummer of Saliva is pointing at me on the screen going, "That's me. I'm the drummer of Saliva." But it was one of those nights where it's like, it's the best time I think I've ever had, where it's like, okay, do you want to DJ in the lobby at the Hyatt or the Hilton on Saturday night at NAMM? I'm like, yes, it's going to be all metalheads. That's the only people there. And we walk in, and I won't, there was 2, like I said, 2 other mobile DJs played in front of me. And I went over, and one of them was smiling while he was playing YMCA, and people are just like wandering past. And I get up there, and all of a sudden it's like, here's this barrage of metal, and the crowd is like, finally. And that was the whole thing. That's that's reading your crowd.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that they'd be stoked. I ended with Ozzy, I'm coming home or something.
It wasn't even a hard read. I mean, it wasn't a hard read. You could look out there and
selling Shane Wallets and Slayer shirts.
They were not going to be doing the cha-cha slide. You could tell.
Oh, they got mad. The next DJ after me was Unique. He came up to me afterwards. He's like, son of a bitch. I'm like, what? He goes, I have this whole performance scratch thing set up.
Right.
He goes, I can't do that now because of what you just did. I'm like, what do you mean? Because he was thinking, I'm just going to play stupid mobile music. Jay's the wedding DJ.
Yeah.
I'm up there throwing Trooper and Maiden, and I'm just dropping tracks. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? Scott, Sparky introduced me.
Yeah.
He brought it up a while ago when I talked to him. He's like, remember that night at the Hyatt? You played all the metal? I'm like, yeah, I do.
Yes.
Awesome. But it was like, guess what the crowd's going to be. I know exactly. My boss, Davey, I'll leave you on this, said to me on the stairs going up to the stage, grabbed my arm and he goes, hey, man, no pressure. Don't worry about it. But if you're not playing the right music, you're probably going to get hit with a beer bottle. So keep your eyes open because that kind of crowd. And he let go of my arm and I walked up and I was so scared that when I hit play, I just kept doing this with my head because I was
worried about you getting a concussion from that headbanging.
I thought I was going to get hit with a bottle. And then I realized, oh, wait, no, they're loving this. Good.
The Rockers.
I mean, that was, wow. Was that like 12 years ago?
It was a while ago.
It's like, yeah, it was a long time ago. And even then, I'm thinking, you're too old for doing what you're doing to your head there.
No, I survived it. I mean, it was a great night. That
is a really good example of playing to your audience, though.
Oh, yeah.
Like, next to you're going loud, you had planned.
Yeah. Nope.
It was regardless of what you had planned.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, regardless. Yeah. And I said that to the two other DJs. They're like, wow, this crowd's really not into any of this. I'm like, no, it's a metal crowd. What are you going to play? I'm like, metal.
Metal.
Like,
because it's a metal crowd.
Because it's a metal crowd.
Yeah.
Like,
go figure. Yeah.
Well, Brian, who is it? You telling me? Who was it? Elton John played the Harley Davidson show in Milwaukee. Yeah. Now, granted, Saturday night's all right for fighting. The bitch is back. I just can't see the Harley guys getting excited with lighters, Zippos in the air for handling the wind.
The skull crash goofy about it.
Yeah.
The goofiest thing about this whole thing was apparently one of the execs, or perhaps somebody who was related to the Harley or the Davidson family who still was involved with the company, was good friends with Elton John. And it was the 100-year anniversary for Harley Davidson. Mm-hmm. And it was like, we have a big secret. We got a big surprise for everybody. They built it up. Like they kept telling everybody, the big surprise coming. People say, oh, dude, you're going to bring Stones in? It's gonna
That's who I was saying. Yeah.
You know, or it's going to be Aerosmith. So everyone's speculating. And then it leaked. It's Elton John. We're like, no, it's not. It's totally not Elton John. It was a guy, Charlie Sykes. He was a talk radio guy. He's now, I think he writes for the New York Times. It's like, nah, it's Elton John. I got information that's pretty solid. It's Elton John. Everybody was laughing at him, and then all of a sudden it's like, the Concorde's going to be landing here from England at Mitchell Field. We're like, oh no, it is.
Oh yes,
it is.
Yeah, and I remember talking to my general manager when I was working at the car dealership at the time about this, because it was I guess it was in 2005, because that was 100 years, 1905 to 2005. That's what it was. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know what? Yeah, he was a biker, Vietnam vet. He wore colors on the week, on Sundays. And he said, I love Elton John. I really love Elton John, but not at a biker party.
No.
This is not the vibe.
No.
A lot of the guys there liked Elton John, but not at a biker party.
No, I can confirm that.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that had the Harley Davidson CDs? Remember the Harley Davidson ride CDs, the two CD sets?
Yep.
I know the songs on there. Foghat, Doobie Brothers,
right?
Like Marsha Tucker, Nerd.
Yep.
I don't recall Elton John slipping a track in there on the side.
Oh.
But here's the $1 million question.
Maybe the bitch is back that's got that.
Or Saturday night's all right for fighting.
Yeah, which is what you want at a biker party.
But that's the whole thing. So that's what makes it more funny to me. The one song he's got, you really shouldn't play.
Yeah, right. You should.
The opener was Kid Rock. But this was before Kid Rock was established as who he is now. This was Kid Rock, Ba Wada Ba, the metal rapper guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He hadn't.
he referred
Like,
to it
picture
as
with Sheryl Crow
rock.
wasn't a thing yet.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that took really good example of just the wrong thing for the wrong crowd.
That's for sure.
But I mean, what can you do with Elton John?
How did John go?
People left. It was a buzz.
Oh, it was as bad as we think. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's as bad as it sounds like it is.
Okay.
So Elton John doesn't have the option of becoming Mick Jagger.
Right.
But a DJ has the option to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed.
You know, so this is where the power lies. And this
We could have opened with like "Gimme Shelter." Too soon? Is that too soon?
Ooh, yeah, no.
Too soon?
Yeah. But I don't know.
Slow Ride by Foghat again.
Right. Yeah. I have Nothing Else Matters by Metallica. I could play that for 3 hours on.
There you go. I've got the extended next. Yeah. Sounds like a loop. No. It's just extended.
Extended version.
Yeah, 8 bars extended.
Now, I would argue that if the DJ who was at your event last week, or this whenever she was on, I would argue that if she were have ran into a situation where, let's just say there was a bunch of bikers there all of a sudden, let's just say that happened. Not that it would, but if it did. If she had to switch, she probably could.
Oh,
if she wanted to, she could.
At the level that she was at, yeah, I'm sure she could. Yeah. I mean, wow.
I guess what I wanted to kind of say on this show, or try to convey to anyone who happens to still be watching, is that it might not be a bad idea, even if you specialize. It might not be a bad idea to maybe think about what you might play in a more well-rounded type inclusive set that anybody might be able to enjoy, just in case you find yourself in a situation. It's just weird to me that I'm the only DJ down there who this bartender can identify as one who plays to the audience. That's bizarre.
That's a high compliment you got.
It is.
But it's also a terribly low statement on the quality of what we as DJs are apparently doing at this club on a weekly basis.
Sure.
I know this place really well. I mean, I was there when I was a kid. I'm back. I know things change over the years, but it was confirmed that, because I had said when I had done it, anybody who I had talked to about this, one of the most surprising things to me was how young the audience was. Because when I was down there in my 20s, I was the young DJ playing for the older crowd. And when I would tell people, you know, what did you think of New Year's? I said, well, you know, I was just really surprised at how young the crowd was. I said, were they young? I'm like, yeah. It's like, what do you mean young? I'm like, college age or mid-20s young. That's unusual. Most of the time, they're in their 30s, 40s plus.
Yeah, great club.
So New Year's was an unusual thing, which made me feel good because, you know, it wasn't this parallel universe I thought it was. This place has always been like the older, you know, weirdos that come down there, and that's what made it fun and quirky. But yeah, I mean, this particular group of people is not going to go out for an evening of hip hop. They're just not. So,
and they probably don't want swears because that'll put someone on edge that'll say, let's take our platinum credit card and go somewhere else, versus feeling comfortable. That's why I won't play swears even in clubs.
You know, we never had that rule back in the old days. In fact, Too Late for Me So Horny was a very popular play.
Yeah, but the cleaner, I think.
No, not the clean, not for the dinner crowd.
not the clean version. It was an adult club.
I mean, I wouldn't. I came in the 90s.
If I could avoid it, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, back in the old days, we were doing Clarence Carter's Stroking a lot. I mean, that was
I played that a lot in the beginning. Days. I think it was just that I kind of viewed it that I couldn't play swears on the boat. I didn't think they worked at weddings. The casino was like no swears, and it made it easy for me to say I'm buying one copy of a song. I've only been yelled at once by a drunk guy that I didn't play a swear. But I know for a fact that there are older people who have hired me from gigs I've done, and school gigs especially, based on the fact that I didn't play swears. When I did my kids' K through 5 Harvest Fest, the first 2 years, Kesha's TikTok was in. I like edited that so it didn't have the get drunk part in it.
Yeah, I've cut up.
You know,
Lexi back. I've cut up.
I've cut up that. Yeah, I've cut up Usher. Yeah, about freaking the bed just because I got kindergartners and first graders. And when parents come up and go, the music you're playing is cleaner than the stuff I listen to on the radio driving these kids to school. Why is that? I'm like, because I just figure I'd err on the side of caution.
No, I'm with you on the swear thing. Personally, I don't find it cool. I know back in the old days we were doing the unedited version of Two Live Cruise Me So Horny. It wasn't a problem. We had the 12-inch. It was in the library. We played it. You know, there's adults in there after 10 o'clock. You can do whatever you want. Having said that, yes, at weddings, of course, you know, I played the clean edited versions of contemporary tracks or anything really. There's very few songs that I have to worry about back catalog, but the new stuff, yeah, it's always a concern. I know that the place that this particular club is now owned by Marcus Corporation, who also owned the resort where Club Evolve was that I was working back in the old days before my stroke.
Right.
Now, the policy at Evolve was no foul language.
Yeah.
And I abided by that. There was one client who had said, one of the managers said, look, they said you played a song with some language in it. Like, oh, I did not. It didn't happen. So what do you mean? I said, I don't own any music with that language in it. Not that song anyway. Yeah. Let me show you what I have. They must have misheard, or they filled in the blanks in their head because I didn't do it. So it's the same corporation, but the rules might be different. Regardless, I feel where you're coming from on that.
I don't think you're going to get in trouble for not playing swears. I think you're going to have an audience.
No.
Right. An older audience is there, especially 40, 50, 60. That audience doesn't need to hear certain words repeated through a song. Their brain goes, oh, it's that kind of place.
Yeah.
There's going to be fights here later. Let's go now. Versus, man, this is awesome. Let's just stay and spend lots of money. And we all know the DJ that gets the schedule is the one that drives the revenue.
We had something happen up there before the medal ceremony. Somebody from the committee came in with a flash drive and told Eric, here, play this. And he was like, he put it in. Remember, John?
Oh, yeah.
Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay.
Right? And he was like, wait. Oh, no. And he had actually had an argument with, because he started playing, you know,
crowd appropriate music he was playing, and then
appropriate, you know, really, you know,
Saturday afternoon,
happy stuff. And they were like, no, you got to play. He goes, I don't know what else is on this thumb drive. He said, I know this area. I know these people. And they responded. He took that Wu-Tang Clan stuff off and the rap stuff. He says, I don't know if it's got swears, and these people are not responding. And Eric played his music. He just on the fly like that, and he nailed it.
I've done a few events in the past couple of years, and we've talked about this. And I know it sounds really weird for me to say that I've played a few events where they have specifically wanted unedited music. And without going into great detail on this, without me just coming out and saying something I don't really want to say on a broadcast, some of these people, you don't want to argue with them. And they're the client. So
that's why, I've established that the first meeting, like my very first meeting, that's out of my mouth, where it's like, by the way, guys, just so you know, I don't play any swears. So if you come to me that night mad going, you got to start playing the unedited version, I'm telling you today, before you send the contract in, you're not getting that. So if it's important to have swears in front of your family, you need to hire a DJ. Yeah. And I've only had one bride in my career go, well, that doesn't work for us. We're adults. We can handle swears. I said, I completely understand. It sounds like I'm not a good fit.
The thing that I learned 20 years ago, when I really started to hear all of this music coming out that had all of this language in it. Even in the radio edits, Jay had mentioned the Kesha song. I'd mentioned the Justin Timberlake song. Even the radio edits, I felt like weren't quite clean enough for certain groups of people, especially like at elementary school,
Right.
So I would clean these songs up, like squeaky clean these songs up best I could, and I remember I did this job, and it was a subcontract where, Soulja Boy Crank That just came out. And a mom came up to me and said, "You need to play Soulja Boy Crank That." I said, "Ma'am, I can't play this song. This is at elementary school.
Yeah.
It's my son's favorite song. He loves Superman. You got to play the song." Like,
nothing to do.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. Do you know what the song's about? It's just, I don't care what the song's about. My son likes Superman.
Look, Karen.
So, well, long story short, the principal came up to me and told me to play it. And I did. And the person who owned the multi-app that I subcontracted from had a talk with me. And what he said made an impression on me. And the more I thought about it, the more I'm saying to myself, you know what? He's right. He said, "You are not the moral police. It is not for you to decide what is good and what is bad. The FCC says it's okay. It's okay. You can't get in trouble for it. But when you try to put, this ultra, squeaky clean morality on things and tell people what they can and can't listen to based on that, you're going to have problems." And he was right. So I've kind of, personally, I've done everything in the vein of that sense. In general, that's just what I do.
I had a mother at probably 3 weddings this year, last year, come up because the girls were asking for WAP. And I said I didn't think it would fit the wedding. And they got to the mother of the bride and she came up. And I put it on and I said, "Just listen to it for a second. And if you want me to play it, I'll play it. But I'm going to tell you before I hit play, I've never played this at a wedding. Here you go." And she lasted maybe 20 seconds and looked at me and she said, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah, it helps if you pull up the lyrics on your phone,
right?
Google, and let them read it. Say, just follow along until you tell me about enough.
Yeah,
it helps too. Yeah,
and I've definitely at times tried. I'm not perfect by any stretch, and I've definitely at times played the censorship guy, like, "Oh, this doesn't fit this event," and
right.
And I agree with what the multi-op told you. I totally do. But there are times things get out of your control.
Yeah.
What you said about the DJ, Howie, she had the crowd going. You guys might be, and the audience might be interested to know, a few years back, probably 10, in Miami, they had 2 incidents where very famous named DJs were taken off stage and they were replaced with house DJs because someone in the audience didn't care for their music. And both times, the guy in the audience was buying up bottles of champagne for $1,000 a bottle and said, "I really want to hear Rihanna." And the club manager's like, "Oh, well, this is, Mark Farina or Icy or whoever."
What's the female version of the name Karen? Or the male version of that name?
Chad.
Okay. Or Todd, perhaps. I don't know.
And I know this from talking to tour managers of 2 of the biggest, highest paid DJs in Vegas. They have DJs in the wings that only have top 40 remixes, that if some guy that has spent $100,000 on booths and bottles wants something different, they'll go up to a Calvin Harris or a Tiesto and say, "Can you throw in this song or this remix?" And they'll make it happen. Because as much as you're paying the DJ and as much as the club is there for the DJ, there's a point where you can tip the scales in your favor. And you can spend enough money where you're spending more than the club is going to make. And guess what? You get what you want. Mark Farina got taken off the stage at Lit.
Well, I mean, I mean, no disrespect to Mark, but couldn't somebody just say, "Hey, Mark, can you just play the damn Black Eyed Peas song for this guy?"
It was more than
Mark
that. The guy
made it
didn't like the
happen.
vibe. He didn't like what Mark was playing. He didn't like the vibe.
Well, maybe
Mark got paid. Mark ended his set like an hour and a half early, and they brought in another DJ. But it speaks to the power of the customer sometimes. In our world, our customers have already hired us. They already know what to expect, and they've had some part in the planning. But that's why I think it's important day one to let your customers know. And I tell every wedding, every event, people will dance to the music they know. I appreciate that you guys are really into jungle, underground, unknown hip hop artists. But let's find a way to work that in earlier. Because when it comes to dancing, they'll dance to Staying Alive and I Got a Feeling and Usher, Yeah, and all the tracks that they know. And I think the result will be a great party. And isn't that what you want? Oh, that's totally what we want. Okay, then let's not make this your own personal Spotify. Let's focus on dinner for you, cocktail for the group, and dancing for the masses. And I think we'll have a great night. And if you really love house, let me do a Whitney Houston song and mix into, Fisher Losing It and see if I can keep the crowd going crazy. And if so, I'll play a couple of those and then we'll get out of that and go into Black Eyed Peas or something.
It reminded me what you said here. I remember, and it's been years. This was no time recent, but a bride wanted something that was just not anything that anybody knew or would dance to. Like she was insistent on it. Like that was her big song. And I kind of had anxiety about it all night because I knew I had to eventually play this track. And I had a strong dance floor and I knew it was going to kill it. And I was really worried that it was going to be a big tipping point in the evening where things were going to just totally switch and people were going to say, you know what, it's a good time to leave. So I took a chance and I got on the mic and I just started saying stuff. And it was something to the effect of, I hope everybody having a good time? Yeah. I'm really glad you guys are having fun tonight. It's my pleasure to play for you. And we've got some time. We got plenty of time to get all your songs there or whatever. But the party's not over yet. But first, Monica has a jam that she wants to play and she'd love everyone to come out and join her on the dance floor for it. And I played it and they came out and they danced to her crappy song, whatever it was. But that's the only way I knew how to do it without killing the vibe. Like it's for her. She wants you to come out with her. And that worked. But that was just pulled out of my butt. You know,
you heard of Gogol Bordello?
No.
Gogol Bordello, the only way I can describe it is like Lumineers meet punk. They're sort of like gypsy rock.
Okay.
They've got like different string instruments, but there's definitely a rock vibe to them. I think it's pronounced Go-Go, but it's Gogol Bordello. And I had a bride and groom, same thing. And they had to hear this song, the wedding song. And I listened to it and it's heinous. And it really is. This was 2019. And it was on their please play this. Must play.
At 10 o'clock.
Had a lull in the dance floor. Hey, everybody make some noise for the bride and groom. You know, Sally and John. You know what? This is a song most of you have never heard. It's a favorite of... I want to invite Sally and John out to the dance floor. This is a favorite of theirs. I want you guys to just go crazy with them if you would. And I hit play. And this thing starts mellow. It's got weird vocals, weird lyrics. They did a lip sync dance to the whole fucking song, which was great. But then when it speeds up, it gets like a Sex Pistols song and then it slows down and everyone had a blast. I did the same thing at a wedding one time. The groom got one request all night, one song he wanted.
Right.
Pennywise, Bro Him. Oh. And I said, folks, we only have time for a couple last songs. The last one's a slow song I want you all enjoy with the bride and groom. But first, we have a special song for the groom. So I want all of you to come out and join it. Everyone came out, grandparents, and I hit play, and no one left the dance floor. You did the perfect thing. If you can sell it as it's going to make your clients happy, that's the only reason anyone showed up. They didn't show up for you and me. They showed up to see the bride and groom happy. They don't really care what that means. They just know if you say this makes them happy. I think I told you the wedding I did where the groom had met the bride because her brother was special needs and he was living in a community house. And the groom was one of his caretakers.
Mm-hmm.
Meets the sister. They fall in love. They get married. Well, her brother attends the wedding. He's the special part. He's why they met. Well, he has a table with 7 or 8 other residents of the home. The bride says, my brother loves the chicken dance and he loves the Macarena. I never play the chicken dance or the Macarena at weddings. I not only played them, I played Hokey Pokey. I played every damn group dance song I could come up with.
Sure.
And I had everyone out there with her brother and her husband. And if you walked in to hire me, you'd have turned around and left. Oh, I don't want this cheesy DJ.
Yeah.
But that wedding, that's why we don't invite people to our weddings, because for that wedding, I did the right thing for the client.
That's what it's all about.
And on that note, we are time. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Crew's back. I know you missed us all together. We're back together again. And
I missed you.
Happy family. Jay is doing his sober January. We'll see if that goes into February. We'll find out next week.
Probably will. Probably will.
If you see a White Claw, it's all over.
If you see me like this.
Yeah. Well,
it ended.
The force be with you and all of you.